Shout out to the Suns for getting back to 500. Now, if you've been following the team closely, you know that the Suns do not have much leverage as far as assets go. Not many picks, not much to trade. And Sundo pointed out to me that that puts a heavy burden on Matt Ishbia and James Jones to really hit home runs when it comes to two-way prospects, which is no easy task. I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this, but I stand 10 toes down on business, Sundo. I absolutely love Theo Maledon. Coming out of France, played for the Thunder and the Hornets. We've done our research. I personally think that he checks all the boxes of what I personally like in a point guard and what I think the Suns need.
Yeah, if you guys recall about, 2 games ago, as a matter of fact, it was a game with the Trailblazers. We had our good friend Torrey Jones on the show, and he mentioned a player that the Suns should go get, and that player was one DeLon Wright. Well, guess what? We don't need DeLon Wright because we have DeLon Wright at home, Gabe. We have Theo Maledon. He is DeLon Wright at home, and I agree with you. Like I said, I mentioned that James Jones and Matt Ishbia have no choice but to hit on the second rounders and finding two ways. I think this guy fits the bill in what they're looking for. He's 6'4". He's got length. Now, he may not be a little on the heavy side. He's 180. Now, that's not ideal for the NBA per se. He will get pushed around quite a bit, but we see the skills. We see the skill set. It's a skill set that we both like. It's a skill set that, in my eyes, isn't any worse than Saben Lee, who is our other two-way point guard, right? I think he's got the potential. He's still young. He's 22 years old, Gabe. That's not old by any means. That's still a age where he can develop a skill set. He can develop skills on this team. Also, one more point I will make. He did come from OKC and he did come from Charlotte. I would like to point out, in those cases, you are expected to produce a lot for teams like OKC and Charlotte. He was getting a lot of minutes with those teams. We're talking 25 plus minutes with those two teams. And so it was clear that they wanted him to produce. When he comes here, there is not that expectation. You are going to be a role player, and I think that would bode well for him coming into Phoenix, playing with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Eric Gordon. Just go down the list of players that we have. I think he'll fit.
If you watch our live streams, you've heard me blabber on and on about how I prefer a playmaking guard over a bucket getter. Not only is Theo Maledon a better playmaker, a craftier passer, a passer who looks for opportunities to help others score, not just I'm passing the ball because my name's Saben Lee and I just got trapped by two people, or I ran into a guy's chest and busted my nose open, so let me go ahead and flick this to you now. He's a better finisher, and that's the only skill Saben Lee has. He's got scoop layups galore, floaters, euros, you name it. The man was mentored by none other than French phenom Tony Parker, several-time champion with the Spurs, and he made a living off of scoring around the rim. But then one step further, is he inconsistent here? Of course. That's why he's had to move around and find new teams. But he is a better shooter. No ugly hitch in his three. It's actually a quite gorgeous, aesthetically pleasing jump shot to witness. If we can get him confidence, maybe this could be a Brock Purdy situation where he's not top flight necessarily, but he's playing with top flight talent, and all he has to do is orchestrate and pass the way that he does, and all of a sudden he looks like, wow, why did everyone pass on him?
Yeah, to your point about inconsistency, how he hasn't done it consistently. I'm looking at some stats here. He's a 31 career 3-point percentage shooter. So there's that. He's shooting 16% this year. That's not good at all. But I imagine he's only attempting 0.4 attempts, Gabe. So there you go. So he's not even shooting threes that much this year. So there's that. He averages 37% field goal percentage for his career. So as you can see there, it's not super consistent at all. And so once again, I go back to my point. When you're expected to produce and you don't produce, teams look at you funny. When you're coming to a team with a Devin Booker, a Kevin Durant, and a Bradley Beal, you're not expected to produce. You're expected to fit your role. And to your point, he looks great in the pick and roll game. He looks like he's a really good facilitator. And I think he's a sneaky good finisher. And so you put all that together with an all-star squad, like we have, Gabe, I think it's going to fit. I think he's going to be a great fit. And I think, once again, You can develop that and give that man confidence at 22 years old with a team like this. And we've seen Devin Booker and Kevin Durant really like to push the supporting cast. Like, for instance, Udoka Azubuike. They seem to really, really want to see this guy succeed. Who's to say it's not going to be the same thing for Theo? He's going to come in here, he's going to learn the system, he's going to get acclimated, and then as soon as he sees the floor with those guys, I promise you, they're going to support him and tell him where to go, and he's going to look good. And that's my hope. He passes the eye test for me.
I want to point out that I really think that a part of his lower three-point percentage, and it's not bottom of the barrel, it's in the low 30s, it's not in the 20s. Metu was like a 24% three-point shooter, and he's brought that way up. But with Maledon, he takes some tough shots. I'm talking off the dribble, coming around screens with the ball in his hand, fast break transition threes, fading threes. Those are harder threes to get. He's not just doing Eric Gordon catch and shoot threes. So I think that weighs his percentage down a little bit, and I don't think he's going to have to do that for the Suns, but I like that he actually has the potential to do those sorts of things. Like, Saben Lee ain't trying a moving three. He's not hitting a moving three ever. Maledon can do that, and he's comfortable at least attempting those things. It might be a little bit reminiscent even of Dwayne Washington. We've got even more for you on Theo Maledon, but first, a word from our sponsors at
BetUS, America's favorite sports book, where you can bet on everything, anytime. Sportsbook, casino, horse racing, live betting, and more. We have the best bonuses in the industry. That's right, get a 125% sign-up bonus. And to celebrate our 30-year anniversary, we are giving up to 30 risk-free bets, a truck, Super Bowl tickets, and more. Don't miss out. Play smart. Join now. BetUS, where the game begins.
Now, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about Theo's weaknesses. We didn't just watch highlights. We watched his scouting report tape. And apparently he doesn't use his length on defense all the time. You might say we're going to see some lazy defense from him from time to time, but we're also, in my opinion, going to see some fantastic defense. Jordan Goodwin, Josh Okogie level, blocks at the rim, fighting for the ball, getting on the floor, but he's not super fast twitchy. So he is going to get blown past, I think.
Also, for another weakness, he is a good 180 Gabe. So at 6'4", 6'5", that's not an ideal weight. He will get pushed around by the Drew Holidays of the league, the Jamal Murrays, for example. And so there's also that weakness. But like you mentioned, though, there will be times where he makes some great plays. And I do think that the positives outweigh the negatives with this guy.
Overall, I just see a player that has everything that I want in a point guard. He's not consistent at doing them all, but he has all of those tools in his toolkit. Just like what we felt about Udoka Azubuike, I'm predicting this is going to be another case like that, another hit for the Suns in the two-way market. We'll see you guys Friday for the live stream. Thanks for hanging out. Go Suns.